Welcome back to the channel. Tune in or go stout. I hope you guys are having a good Friday. For a couple weeks now, I've been trying to find a way to talk about the Epstein files without making it a joke, because the last time I talked about it, I talked about the relation of Jeff and the Bitcoin. And as more files prove in and show that he really did have a deep connection with Bitcoin, which was easily, seeable if you track down his connections to the founder of Tether. A lot more groundbreaking news has came out, and while I'm not going to touch on all of that this video because you've probably heard about it, it's been a few weeks since its release. We just got a pretty crazy piece of news yesterday that Epstein was actually going to buy the Pentagon, or at least was offered a chance to buy the Pentagon in some sort of weird real estate deal. I think this deal also included the FBI headquarters, but the fact that this guy who's running around essentially untouchable, but the fact that he was given a chance to buy probably one of the most symbolic and strategical buildings in the world for war planning and just military operation, like it's a mall or something, is insane to me. This just adds like more credence to the photo of the soldier looking at his helmet. It's like, remember what you're fighting for, and it's just Jeff Epps. Like, you're going to school, you're trying to figure out what you should do with your life, how to plan it, if you should go to college, if you shouldn't. You're making decisions between skipping a $5 cup of coffee. You're trying to build up your life as a young person. Whole time, a guy who got billions of dollars from nowhere is being offered to buy one of the most important military buildings in American history. Absolutely the most well-connected chud in history. And speaking of chuds, one of them who was in very good connection with Jeffrey Epstein was finally arrested, that being Prince Andrew of the UK British royal family. And this news came out on the same day as the Pentagon news. It was pretty random. Everybody was surprised. I'm not even gonna lie, even I was surprised. And with these files, I've pretty much chalked it up to nothing's actually gonna happen. So the fact that something did happen was pretty eye-opening. But when you look more into the reason that he was arrested, I don't want to say it's nothing, because it's something, I guess, but it's definitely not as severe as I thought the arrest was going to be. But former Prince Andrew was arrested by the UK police on suspicion of misconduct in public office. What is suspicious about it? Because he's in more photos than probably anybody. And if you go down the line of Jeffrey Epstein's best friends, it would probably go Ghislaine Maxwell. I think that was his girlfriend. And then it would go Prince Andrew, his right-hand man. And then probably Bill Gates, his left-hand man. Bro was getting STDs and just bringing him back to the wifey. What are we suspicious of? One of the victims, the first victim, Virginia Giuffre, came out and accused Prince Andrew. They got photos together. He's got photos with people even younger. Suspicion is like, you might have did it. You might have not did it, bro. We're still kind of, the jury's open on this. But the way Prince Andrew's been moving, there's nothing suspicious, bro. He did it. But I guess it just shows how the elites rank the crimes that were being done. We won't arrest or hold anybody accountable for what they were doing on the island, but we will arrest you because you maybe might have shared some sensitive government information, which I guess is the least that you could charge him for, giving up information to the guy that was blackmailing him. And I don't want to say blackmail to make it seem like Prince Andrew was being forced to give up this information. If you look at the photos, bro is pretty happy in all of them. But I guess that's what made Jeffrey Epstein such a powerful person, was the fact that he was able to make all these weirdos feel normal. But as more of these files come out, it just proves what people largely thought already, that there is like two sets of rules. There's one that the normies play by, then there's ones that the elites play by. And the whole idea of a controlled opposition is pretty much true, because in the files you see a lot of people from both sides. Like you have Bannon being his top messenger, and then you also have Chomsky being his best friend. These are two political thought leaders on different sides of the aisles that had very great relationships with this one person and would communicate through him. I mean, you even had Peter Thiel in there, which to me is probably one of the most eye-opening people in the files, because I heard somebody say, these files are not being released to gain any arrests, but rather to introduce a new government, a new power structure in, and get rid of the old one. And that makes sense when you see all of the royal family tie-ins, especially in the Europe side of the files. But when you see Peter Thiel and Elon Musk and a lot of the other crypto people and the new age of power also being implicated in these files, that kind of makes me a little confused, because as this goes on further, I don't think anyone is going to be able to just walk away from this with a clean slate. And I hate to say it, but the only thing that seems like reasonable after all these files release is just to purge the government in general. What the Epstein files show is that there is a lot of people in charge that are willing to do sick things and play with power like nobody else's business. But when you go under that layer, it shows a lot of low-level, mid-level people who are willing to sell out and utilize parts of their job to move along a higher agenda. The thing about bureaucracy and bureaucrats is that they're always able to be bought. And the things that they do may not be major things at the moment, but they all tie into a larger plan. And when you get into the government, your salary is not that much. And I know that sounds crazy because they're making like 100, 200K. But some of these people will join the government, make their 100, 200K, probably get some little investments going, and trade some favors while they're in office or holding a certain position to move along a certain agenda, whether that be, let's say, a trade deal or leak some info to this guy. And they make deals with these fixers, you know, Jeffrey Epstein being a fixer, so that once they leave that government role or position where they were, you know, giving favors to people, they can use those favors as a bargaining chip for a better private sector job that pays in the millions. That's kind of why you see a lot of heads of government leave and join this oil firm or this gun company or this war machine. Not saying all of them are corrupt and doing shady shit under the table, but doing shady shit under the table is probably the quickest way to get in a role like that. When you work for Lockheed Martin, they're not asking to see how good your character is. They're seeing how well you can play ball. You know, how well can you keep a secret? Are you gonna go snitch after we show you some stuff that you shouldn't see? It's all pretty ass when you think about how corrupt our government is, but it's no surprise. But as our government tries to show justice in any form that it can without actually holding people accountable, we'll see how far they go with it, because even though there's no arrest, they are starting to do depositions and start asking some of these tougher questions that should have been asked closer to 2019 than 2026. But the first person on the list to do one of these depositions was Lex Wessner, the best friend of Jeffrey Epstein and the owner of Victoria's Secret. If you're not familiar with Lex Wessner, he gave a lot of money to Jeffrey Epstein. I'm not talking about like lunch money. I'm talking about $1 billion. But in the deposition, Lex Wessner said that he was conned out of giving Epstein all this money. Like, he didn't know he was doing it or why he was doing it, and that he would not consider Epstein a friend, even though in the birthday letter he wrote, like, "You're a great friend." Crazy, crazy stuff. And I'm not saying he couldn't have been tricked. You know, everybody has been tricked to maybe giving some money to somebody. I know in the city that I'm near, Atlanta, there's this big trend of people asking for donations, whether they be homeless or like a water boy, asking for some type of cash app and then taking your phone and putting like $500 in the cash app, you know? But I ain't never heard of somebody somehow tricking you out of $1 billion, you know? There's 999 million other dollars that you could have stopped them from taking. But Lex Wessner isn't the only person going up for depositions. We may have the Clintons, Bill, and Hillary. And if that does happen, there's no reason that Trump shouldn't sit down for one either. I think that would be a great video to see, even if all he does is plead the fifth. But this has done a number on governments across the world. Even if we don't hold people accountable, there definitely is going to be a sustained fallout. But I guess it comes down to what side of the political aisle that you're on. And I hate to bring it into politics, but I find it really funny how all the Republicans that voted for Trump 3 times have somehow thrown that out the window and said, guys, it's not about politics. It's about American freedom and stopping the corrupt elites. And like, that's all fine and dandy, but you got to kind of take some accountability that you voted in the most deep state president that we've ever had. And they'll turn around and be like, well, why didn't the Democrats release it? Why didn't the Democrats release it? Which is a valid point if you don't think about it. But like, why isn't the person who ran on the promise to release the files actually releasing the files without having to be court ordered to do so a month late after the court order, and then deleting files upon release? Never let the conservatives ever take the moral high ground on you. I think that's just something that's proven time and time again. I'm not the biggest advocate for like bread tubers or leftist talking points on the internet, because sometimes they are really played out. But when it comes to Epstein, yeah, no, conservatives got to hold this L. You can't just move the ball and act like this wasn't a lot of your doing. You literally voted in the guy who's mentioned in the files the most. It's kind of crazy. But I guess we'll close it off on that, because I have seen a lot of conservatives trying to play it off like this isn't a lot of their fault. Like, the Epstein files should have been released a long time ago. I agree, Biden should have done it, but Biden didn't promise to do it, nor did he seem like he wanted to do it. So the fact that your guy campaigned and all throughout 2020 to 2024 saying we're gonna get him, he's a bad guy, them Democrats are hiding something, and in reality it's them hiding something the whole time is funny. You can't make this stuff up. But we'll see where this saga continues. I don't think it's over. They're investigating the ranch as we speak. Apparently there's some bodies on the ranch. We'll see. But as a person who would consider themselves as a conspiracy theorist, this is one of the times where I kind of wish that the conspiracy wasn't true. I feel like a flat earth would be easier to handle than knowing that your elites are in a global cabal of evil. But just like anything else, bro, we make it through. So we'll see how this turns out. If you agree or disagree, let me know down below in the comments. Do you think people will be arrested? Is this the entire network of offenders that we know of, or is this just the surface level of what they're doing behind closed doors? If you haven't already, like and subscribe to join the thread. And with that being said, thank you for tuning in. Until next time.